This week in comic books, we get a lesson in the difference between morals and ethics, and we get it from Spider-Man and a bunch of just nosy people that keep sticking their nose in his business. Wow. Over in Detective Comics, we may have gotten the origin story of Clown Hunter, which I hope I'm reading that right. We're going to discuss that. And Dead Day. Why am I still picking this up? I already know how it's going to end. Stupid. All that and more right after the intro. Hey, what's going on, you wonderful weirdos? I'm Pocan Joe, and as always, you're pretty cool for swinging by. If this is your first time here, basically, I'm a middle-aged man. I read a bunch of comic books. I take notes on them so I look official, and then I regurgitate what I've learned or some interesting things that I found in them back at you.
Crazy, I like to think of myself as dedicated.
So feel free to comment down below. What did you pick up this week? What did you read? And more importantly, what did you think of it? So let's dive into this as quickly as possible. We got Batman number 99 that came out. So we get another Bat family reunion on top of a building and Batman promising to do better.
All right, that's enough.
Again. But for the most part, this is a good story. We do get a little bit of a touching moment where Harley Quinn is like, I'm going to go drop Joker. Like, I'm dropping that body. And Batman's like, no, we can't, because, we shouldn't kill people. Well, yada, yada, yada. Then, of course, Batman goes inside and detains her or whatever and goes inside. But then we see the Joker. He's got himself a batsuit.
You look fabulous.
And it reminds me of those pops that came out where they had like the Joker dressed up like Batman. It almost looked like that. That was pretty cool. I went and, this Clown Hunter guy, he doesn't do much in this one except for, drop a body off a building, which I was like, okay, I'm liking this guy more and more. So I got this cover, of course, mostly because the 1 in 25 was Nightwing. Why a character would name himself after a vehicle of Batman's, I don't know, but I'm doing like a collection of these. So big shout out to Wayne over at Zeno's Comics. He always makes sure that I get the 1 in 25 for this. Good job, man. Next, we get Detective Comics number 1027. This is a collection of stories. Probably my favorite one in here was the Silver Ghost one. Basically, a guy gets the idea that he wants to be a superhero.
I get to be the psycho. Trust me. That's the hard part.
Detective kind of guy, right? So he calls himself the Silver Ghost, gets himself a lair. Like, he's working on all this stuff. It's like below budget type stuff. If Batman is... if Batman's the Lamborghini dealership, right? Then this guy was like if Harbor Freight sold cars.
One man's opinion.
Right? But anyway, he finally gets his big moment at Ace Chemical where he's going to go stop some bad guys. And sure enough, Batman drops in. And then come to find out all of his kind of thinking kind of led in that direction anyway. That was really fun. And I'm going to say may, because I'm not 100% sure. We may have gotten the origin story of Clown Hunter in here, which I thought was really cool. We never really got Clown Hunter's name in any of the issues, but we can kind of make the connection, I guess. And is he going to be the new Robin here eventually, where Batman has to teach him not to kill? Because literally he dropped the body off this building. So, yeah.
Sure.
We'll see where that goes. I'm excited about it. But for the most part, it's the typical generic story that we've seen DC put out already. A bunch of short stories all over the place, different artists, different writers, different messaging, whatever the case may be. And it was just like, some of it was just really cringy, not even worth talking about. But some good stuff did happen in it, so that was pretty cool. Moving on. That was all of my DC this week, unfortunately. I didn't pick up anything else. But as promised in the beginning, we're going to talk about this one right here.
Yeah, I promised to talk about it. I didn't promise I'd know what to say.
The Amazing Spider-Man and the Sins of Norman Osborn. So this is interesting. The debate of the difference between ethics and morals has always been a debate. What's the difference between the two? To the point to where some people are like, it doesn't matter, they're really the same thing. Well, they're not. And this book explains that. Morals are generally something that we, or a group, or an institution of people typically kind of agree on. Like not, randomly killing people. right? That's a moral decision that we've made as a society. Ethics are kind of the rules and guidelines to make your morals possible. So think of it this way: morals are the external, and ethics are the internal.
And they're out of here!
Right? The rules that guide you. In this one, the web of destiny, they're just sticking their nose all up in Spider-Man's business because he wants to go save the Green Goblin. And they don't like that idea because in their dimensions or whatever, he's this horrible guy, which he is. He's a bad guy. We get it. But because Spider-Man has ethics and a code and rules to live by, it doesn't really matter. He has a responsibility to even save a bad guy in here, especially one that's done his time. So this was kind of interesting watching it go back and forth. Now the question is ultimately, was it a good story? No, because you already know what direction they're going with this one. Groupthink versus an individual doing the right thing. Kind of weird. But for the most part, I'll probably read the rest of it because I am interested in the Green Goblin coming back, which they kind of promised that in the back of this. So, we'll see. All right, so the Immortal Hulk, number 37. This, first off, Alex Ross, man, you killing it with these covers. But that's about all that was killing it in here. The leader, it looks totally different in this issue than he has in the other ones, and apparently he's supernatural now, which we kind of saw that path before in the other Immortals. He's kind of more this hell, green door type character now. It's totally off base. Takes control of somebody in here, convinces Hulk to come back to the hellscape that is hell. And this thing's all over the place. It's getting harder and harder to follow. And I haven't broken the chain of reading this. And I'm even kind of like, why is this going on right now?
This is awkward.
So, unfortunately, Immortal Hulk's getting kind of... might be falling off here soon. Next, Iron Man number 1. Oh, man, I wish I could say, oh my god, this was so awesome. But can't. Basically, we have a rich billionaire who just gets tired of being a rich billionaire, and he needs to get back to the basics of life.
All right, I'm listening.
Was $65 million. Yeah, that's a thing in here. It's the first issue, right? You can't judge it off the first issue, and I'm trying not to, but just nothing really captured me in here. Oh, well, I take that back. We may have seen a appearance of a new villain who is able to put lightning in a capsule, and it kind of reminded me of that, capture lightning in a jar type scenario.
Sounds like fun.
Kind of reminded me of that, so that was pretty cool. But let's see what goes on even further in this. I'll probably chase this, but if nothing really cool happens between now and then, I'll probably drop this. Still a continuously good read is Thor. I mean, that doesn't go there, that goes there. This is the 1 in 25 variant right here. Loving these variants. This is number 7. So in this, we kind of get, first off, we kind of understand how the ravens work for him, or crows, or they're actually ravens, but whatever. How they kind of work and how they're kind of helping. So Thor sent his hammer back to Earth, Oklahoma, back where Little Asgard was back in the day, and an unlikely person finds it and sees a phone number on it and calls it, and of course it's Tony Stark. This was kind of like a tip to the hat if you've been reading the series all the way through. The Avengers, where Tony Stark kind of wrote his phone number on the thing when it went back one time. That was funny. If you've been reading it, you'll catch that. And we have a new Thor. I'm not going to spoil it for you.
I'd like it to be a surprise.
Chances are, once you read the name in there, you're going to be like, who? But it is a character in Marvel lore. And we're going to talk about it Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the YouTubes over at Blast It or Stash It. We're going to talk about it over there. Along with all these other comic books. Myself, 2 other, maybe 3 others. We're going to sit around, we're going to talk about, we got a live chat, and you are personally invited, so definitely swing on by and check that out. All right, so moving into my independents this week. A lot of independents came out this week. So I was a little selective. The very first thing that I picked up was this Heavy. Everybody had been talking about it. I figured I'd give it a shot, and Not disappointed. Not disappointed at all. This is really good. So basically, we have our character here, our main antagonist. He's in like this weird purgatory, but it's not like purgatory like you remember from religion or from other type stories. Basically, it's a bustling city where everybody kind of has this other job to kind of fix the timeline if in case things go wrong, right? So like Hitler's dying every other week. I like how they explained how the whole space-time continuum butterfly effect thing works. So one, you would understand it. Two, you didn't have to think too hard about it. No, that was really good. But basically, he's called a heavy, and he's got jump through time. He basically kills people, right? Like in the mafia, the heavy guy. He's got to go around and do that or beat people up. And this opens up right with him punching some teenager right in the face for picking on somebody. Like violence is the answer in this, right? But then we find out in order for him to rack up his points, I guess is what they consider it as, to get into heaven, he's got to up his body count. In order to do that, he's got to take on a partner, right? Because double the killings, right? So we find out that the person that's going to be his partner is the person that killed him. His whole reason of getting into heaven isn't just to go to heaven. He could really care less. He just wants to see his wife. And the reason why the guy killed our hero here is because he wanted his wife. So, yeah, full circle there. It's creepy. It's weird. I like their different takes on history. Like, they had Da Vinci in here. He was like a huge douchebag, made war weapons and stuff. This is fun. A lot going on in the background. If you look at the pictures in here, it's just crazy. Good stuff. Next, talking about just creepy stuff going on in comic books. Stillwater. So we've heard the scenario before. Little village out in the middle of nowhere. Or city, a town stuck in time. Out in the middle of nowhere.
Scare the hell out of them.
Down windy roads. Nobody can get to it. And it has a secret. Well, the secret in here is that none of these people die, apparently. If they're within the city limits. Outside the city limits, you can kill somebody, which we saw somebody's brains get blown out. Our hero in this has to go to this town because he was promised an inheritance, and he's kind of down on his luck. He gets there, witnesses two kids, one kid getting pushed off a building. What is it about bodies being dropped off buildings this week? Falls to the ground and doesn't die. Just jumps right back up and takes off. Then they kind of start a ruckus about it, and the sheriff's not hearing this mess. So he takes him out past the city limits and pops his friend in the face, and then his aunt shows up, and we find out that his aunt was actually his mother, and she's supposed to be the one with the inheritance. Apparently he's from this town too, which made it even more interesting. Creepy, like just I like this. I like the dialogue in it. It's realistic dialogue. Sounds like things you would actually hear people say. And the story, it's classic. You know, town was secret. You know, and an outsider, you know, affecting it.
We can keep this just between us.
So, yeah, I'll be picking up some more of that. As long as my comic book store has them, I'll be picking them up. Next, Once in Future. This may have came out last week. Probably not. So, Once in Future, we're still playing off the whole Beowulf poem in this. And if you know your poem, right, Beowulf killed Grendel, but in this, they killed Beowulf, so now they have to kill Grendel. How do you kill Grendel? You gotta tear off his arm.
Do it.
Right, according to the poem. So they get his arm off with a chainsaw. Literally, Granny chopped it off with a chainsaw. It was awesome. And now, if you know the poem, Beowulf, something happens after Grendel dies, right? His mother shows up, the hag.
A woman boss. How progressive.
Right, so she's kind of popping up now, causing some troubles too. In the meantime, King Arthur and Merlin are in their otherworldly dimension, still plotting to get rid of Granny and Duncan in this. It's good. It's still good. It's still fun. The dialogue is great in it, but I'm just kind of wanting more out of each issue now. Like it's like they're following the same cookie cutter story. Granny says a bunch of smart ass stuff. Duncan tries his best, fails ultimately. Granny ends up having to kill the monster. So why is Duncan in this story? I don't know. Hopefully something really cool happens here soon because I'm starting to get a little sleepy on this one. Next, Dead Day. So yeah, I absolutely despise this.
If you want to walk away, now's the time.
So you're like, Why do you read it? Well, yeah, it's what I do, right? I read things and then I talk about them. So in this one, our female and her ex-boyfriend, who's dead,
Yeah, I know. On again, off again. That is a complicated relationship, man.
are going to go chase down and kill the guy that killed him, right? Her husband is kind of okay with this situation. Yeah, I don't even get me going. I'm not even going down that rabbit hole. Come to find out, her son, her and her husband's son, it's a love triangle, might actually be his kid. So that just kind of makes the husband even a bigger simp. Am I using the word simp right? Like, I'm not down with lingo with the kids are saying today. But the guy seems pretty simpy, especially at the end where her and him show up on the front porch and she's barking, let us in. He's hurt. We need to help him. He's dead.
I gotta say, it looks pretty convincing to me.
There's nothing wrong with him. He's already dead. He's just a zombie. I don't know. I might be missing something. And the kids are running off learning all about religion in this world. And it's just creepy and weird too. Apparently some moon goddess person may have shown up in it. I don't know. It's so bad. It's so bad. And last but not least, I think this came out last week, but Something is Killing the Kids. Our bureaucrat leader in here, apparently he's got to knuckle down on some monsters because the monsters are coming out all over the place and they smell the kids. So now is not the time for bureaucracy, right? It's time to start slashing and hacking. And a bunch of people saw one of the kids literally get picked up and ripped up. Not literally, I guess that would be incorrect. In this story, if you read it in fiction, can you still use...
You think so?
I don't know, that's a weird one. Anyway, kid gets picked up and ripped literally in half. I said literally again. It's a habit. Good graphics, good story. I'm digging this. I'll read some more of this, definitely. Other than that, I picked up a few other things that I want to share with you. And I'm really super happy to get these. One, I was able to pick something up for my wife. Ultraman, she loves herself some Scotty Young covers, so I was able to get her, because one hadn't been out in a while, so that was really cool to add to her collection. I'll be sure to get that to her here in a minute. Next, I picked up some super key issues. Son of Satan, #1. Everybody's talking about it. We've heard nothing but positive things about it. It's going to be rolling out soon. So I was able to get my hands on one of those for a very, very fair price. Picked up some Heman Masters of the Universe. You ready for this? I picked up issue 1 and 13. Yes, newsstand at that. Yeah, that one's not. But still in really great condition. The only thing is on the 13th issue, if that actually comes into focus, you can see the corner. That's the only thing wrong with this, that one little tiny corner. Again, Comic Book Shop gave me a sweet deal on these. Thank you very much. And last but not least, Thundercats 1 and 2. Yeah, and I mean these things are pretty pristine. No, a little bit of a, where it kind of presses over all of it. That's it. And again, thank you, Xenos Comics in Chesapeake, Virginia. Wayne, you did me right. I love those. I'll cherish those forever. Or unless somebody wants to give me, like $1,000 for them. Other than that, I don't really have much else. That's everything we got going on. So don't forget, Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the YouTubes. Myself, Huey, and Spectacular Spider Grandpa, we're going to sit around, we're going to talk about some of these books, and we're going to blast or stash them, give our takes on them, have different views. We also have a live chat that will be going on where you can show up and partake in the show. Tell us what you've read and tell us what you thought about it. That would be awesome. So other than that, and also send some positive vibes, prayers, whatever your thing is, out to Huey's family. I know they started a GoFundMe page. Apparently his family suffered some serious losses with the destruction of their house and property and stuff like that. So, they're kind of out of sorts right now. So definitely we'll try to get that information out to everybody as soon as possible. But if nothing else, a little prayer, whatever your thing is, definitely send it out that way. All right, folks, I got to get out of here. I got a bunch of stuff to do in the workshop. So I'll be talking to you soon. Bye.
Seriously, it ends here.